credit of this video that I'm about to play here goes to a YouTube channel called Hillside College. So be sure to check their channel and give them the appropriate credit that they deserve. Something is currently going on as a great injustice to humanity that most people are aloof to. They're aloof to it because of the illusion of convenience. For instance, when you go to certain stores now, they will tell you they're short on cash. Therefore, they cannot take any transaction that you try to pay them with that's more than 20 bucks. In other words, they don't take $50 bill or $100 bill. For instance, say Starbucks. When you go in there, they will blatantly tell you, we don't take anything more than 20 bucks. And the reason is because even they as employees have been conditioned to see that as a norm, because they limit deliberately the amount of cash that is in the drawer. So the employees see it as a norm, and it's just rainbows and unicorns to them. And they've been conditioned in their team, meaning that anyone else who wants to use any amount more than 20 bucks is usually just looking for a way to break a cash, and they feed them some substitute trash like you would to convince and condition a human mind to justify why a certain thing is going on in order to cloud the reality of it. And of course, the employees buy that, and subsequently, as people casually go by their day, some people do actually have money and they do actually have cash, but now with the intent of breaking it by purchasing some 10, $5 coffee. So the man comes in with a 50 bucks or 100 bucks. Just a few years back, it was actually normal. It was actually normal a few years back, and a simple exchange of value would occur and that man will go by his way. Not anymore. Therefore, once that man or woman realizes it, all it takes is for him to market it by telling someone else, oh, Starbucks doesn't take more than 20 bucks anymore. And then everyone just starts going online with digital banking. I made a video a little bit a while ago regarding the dangers of digital banking. Control is the problem. Control is the atrocity that's being engaged in. That C19 2020 thing is just a social experiment as a starting point to acclimate the people's mind so that Stockholm syndrome would occur, so that stress will be accustomed to as the norm, as a culture, as, oh, this is just what goes on every now and then. It just happens far more frequently. Once upon a time, it used to be an anomaly that such an event that occurred in 2020 would occur as society at large. But now it seems to be happening once every 3 to 5 years or so. There's always this huge thing. Suddenly, you wake up one day, there's a ridiculous amount of fear, and someone tells you, behave and live your life this way, and everyone just follows. But that is barely the tip of the iceberg, because that's no different than how A/B tests are done. They see which one works the best, and then they roll it out of the testing phase and add modifications. Digital banking is one of the things that 2020 C19 thing was part of, or at least encourages people subconsciously to participate in, whether you realize it or not, whether you like to accept it or not. And the problem itself is not digital banking. The problem itself is the atrocity where you are controlled, where your movement, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are controlled by holding your livelihood hostage, by limiting what, where, how you can use monies. Because the database of these digital currencies, whether it's Apple Pay, whatever people use digitally now, which is just another test run for something bigger called the central bank digital currency, the CBDC, all those database is not yours. It's someone else's patent. It's someone else's copyright. It's someone else's trademark. Therefore, they can control it the way they want. It's not yours. It's someone else's patent. It's someone else's copyright. It's someone else's trademark. Therefore, they can control it the way they want. It's not yours. It's someone else's patent. It's someone else's copyright. It's someone else's trademark. Therefore, they can control it the way they want. But here goes the daily man that doesn't even know what the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Ninth Amendment even says. They don't care for it because, well, they're not taught in school about how this reality works and how they are intertwined with body politics. So it's now easy to just get them to fall in line. But I'm here to tell you, put effort into thinking a little bit differently. And all these things with smart contracts people are going on about, that's the new hype. It's all part of the same thing. People telling you the blockchain is protected and it's away from the government. That's a bunch of BS. These brokers send 1099s to IRS and they will tax you on certain things. And unless you move your money so quick in certain amounts, in certain increment, all those things that you say is confidential can still be tracked if a state level operator wants to know about it. And you're caring about a phone that has certain natural key loggers embedded into it. You carry that recent iPhone around and you think there's an element of independent thought and independent decision in your life, you should stop for a moment and examine certain realities. Independent thought is being stripped away from people based on the illusion of convenience. If I'm saying it, and sometimes it sounds too good to be true, listen to what someone else has to say about it.
CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. It is a currency issued directly by the central banks. It can be done on a wholesale basis, which is to essentially allow the commercial banks to issue it on a retail basis and do the management of it on retail and then relate back to the central bank, which will be a wholesaler. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. It is a currency issued directly by the central banks. It can be done on a wholesale basis, which is to essentially allow the commercial banks to issue it on a retail basis and do the management of it on retail and then relate back to the central bank, which will be a wholesaler, or it can be done directly by the central bank doing directly a retail CBDC. The challenge with CBDC is it gives the central bankers complete control and the ability to program your money. What it does is it gives them the ability to say what you can use your money for, where you can use your money. It's called programmable money. Some people call it smart contracts. I call it very stupid contracts. But it gives you the ability to issue programmable money and do complete surveillance and control of where and how people use their money. But it gives you the ability to issue programmable money and do complete surveillance and control of where and how people use their money. But it gives you the ability to issue programmable money and do complete surveillance and control of where and how people use their money. Now, I say that CBDCs are quite dangerous, and they are. However, it's very important to understand that this kind of complete control comes about not through CBDCs, but having an all-digital monetary system. So what we want to stop is an all-digital monetary system because it is possible to do the equivalent of CBDCs on a private basis. So I can use merchant codes with your bank account and your credit card. I can kick you off your online payment systems if I don't like what you're saying. I can use merchant codes with your bank account and your credit card. I can kick you off your online payment systems if I don't like what you're saying on social media. There are many different ways if we go to an all-digital financial system. We have digitized throughout our economy, so our homes are full of digitized equipment that can be identified and surveilled. Our cars are more and more electric. They can be stopped remotely. The thing to understand is if we go to an all-digital transaction system, financial transaction system, with a digital ID, so I can tell you're you and I'm me with great precision, then suddenly all those different digitized items and equipments and systems snap into one complete control grid. Then suddenly all those different digitized items and equipments and systems snap into one complete control grid. And the key to that snapping into the control grid is the digital ID and the all-digital monetary system. Now, let me tell you what that looks like, because we don't have a financial problem. We have a governance problem. We don't have a financial problem. We have a governance problem. If you do it in a system where a secret governance system that is non-transparent and outside of your control, if that gives them the power to basically turn on and shut off your transactions, we're in a coup d'etat world. By creating an all-digital transaction system with a digitized economy and a digital ID, suddenly the central bankers now control fiscal policy. They can determine where you go, when you go. So let's go back to the pandemic. During the pandemic, if the lockdown said you can't go more than a mile from your home and you can only go that on Tuesday and Thursday, in an all-digitized economy with satellite flying overhead, they can literally track you, and if you don't do what they say, they can turn off your money. If the lockdown said you can't go more than a mile from your home and you can only go that on Tuesday and Thursday, in an all-digitized economy with satellite flying overhead, they can literally track you, and if you don't do what they say, they can turn off your money. Now, what this means is you not only have usurping of the people's representatives, but you have a usurping of the state powers. So under the Constitution, the powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states. But now the central bankers asserting line of fiscal policy, making the rules and enforcing them centrally, can literally control healthcare or other powers reserved to the states. And by the ability to literally control your financial transactions. The way to make that transition is just say total control. If you don't eat cricket flour and synthetic meat made in a lab, we'll turn off your money. Use cash, encourage the local businesses to use cash, encourage your local banks to support cash. You can always use cash, and you can use checks. Keep the cash and check systems going.